First of all, I'm Jussi from Ekahau. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Today we're going to talk about version 8.0. So what does that have? Just to set the baseline. How many of you have used Ekahau? So by far the vast majority. How many of you primarily use Ekahau? Something else for surveys, planning? Who doesn't do planning surveys? Lucky you. All right. So terminology. I'm not a detail person. Sorry, Carl. Okay, first of all, Wednesday night's training. I have no clue how many are going to join, and I need to kind of reserve the beer and pizza for a random number of people. So raise your hands if you're going to join the Wednesday night training, even though you may be forced to switch the hotels or stuff. So what's the quick count? 75. So 50 signed up, but let's say 75, 100, something like that. So there will be beer, there will be pizza, and some Finnish whiskey for those of you who want. Thanks, guys. All right. First of all, thank you. I don't know, Keith. Thank you so much for another great conference. We really appreciate that. Hats off. And thank you for letting us vendors present our vendor-on-vendor violence here. So much appreciated. I'll try to keep that to the minimum. Just afraid of John's feedback then. Twitter. Most of you probably know me there. Also, our newest guy in our ESS team, Andrew, he would be your tech guy in the US in our Wi-Fi tools team. So Andrew has experience designing, deploying Aruba, Cisco Wi-Fi networks, using Air Magnet, Ekahau, you name it. So he's a great go-to guy for this stuff. Andrew is also doing videos and blogging and all that kind of stuff as well. So his Twitter, Wi-Fi Andrew. That's our website. Some of you may have gone there. We'll talk more about that later. Then the most important stuff to you guys, the attendee bag, right? So what's in there? First of all, there's a piece of paper that has the instructions on how you will get Ekahau Site Survey version 8. So you will not get version 7.6, you will get version 8 when it's out, which is in March. What you need to do is fill the form, and you'll get it that way. And those of you who haven't been here before will get that for a year. Those of you who have been here before will get 50% discount if you purchase. All right? Yeah, and again, out in March. So that's when we will ship you the code. Ekahau NIC, or the Wi-Fi adapter, is also in the package. For those of you who don't have it, it's a pretty good site survey adapter. It's standardized and really good at taking passive measurements. But for active, you want to use some other adapter, like your integrated adapter or Edimax or what have you, to reach those really high AC data rates and stuff like that. But don't get me wrong, even the Ekahau adapter can display AC data rates, wider channels, and all that. So it's perfect for passively surveying AC. Then there's some chocolate in the bag, and then some strange Finnish candy, okay? So if you tried it, you know what I'm talking about. It's licorice, and there's different kinds of candy bags actually in different bags. So everybody did not get the same stuff. So what do you do with that? If all else fails, this is actually what we do. I kid you not. So if you get the Turkish pepper, the bag at the top with blue labels, it goes really well with booze. It turns into, it's like cough medicine meets candy type of a booze. So try that. It looks like that. It looks horrible, but it tastes actually pretty good. All I drank when I was 21. All right, back to business. So I went away from Ekahau for a year, and then I came back 18 months ago, roughly. And first thing we did is kind of reprioritize stuff. So we figured, you guys probably want to buy our product if it works really well. So we asked you guys, what do you want the product to do? What does it not have to do, like crashing and stuff like that? And then we just started fixing it and try to keep kind of iterating that process. So ask what you guys want and then do it and fix it and whatnot. So that was actually previous slide. I'm so excited I'm pressing the buttons automatically. So in those 18 months, what have we been up to? Except, partying and drinking with venture capital money and all that fun stuff, right? So we also had marketing discussions with Hannele, and then product feature discussions with Mikko. I lost, so if 8.0 has sucky features, blame Mikko because he managed to kick me a bit. So that's actually from our summer parties. They turn violent at times. That's related to the booze I was explaining earlier. But so we've been doing, and some of you were at Wireless LAN Pros EU, but this is what I like to show just to show that we haven't just been drinking with venture capital money, and we are not venture funded anymore because we don't get any money from them. We try to make our own. But this is some of the stuff we've done in the last 18 months. So the guys have not just been sitting on their butts. They have actually been doing features and antennas and fixes and it's blue screening again. We need to fix that, and we appreciate your feedback because most of this has come from you guys. It's too long. There we go. So this is the last show-off slide, I promise, maybe. So thanks to, some of the guys here, we even had their faces and names and quotes to use, and you can find more of these on our website. But it just has to say that, some actually do use the product. But going forward, feel free to keep approaching us when it comes to feedback, new features, stuff like that. And even on Twitter, if you take hashtag ESS request, it automatically goes into our feature tracking system and starts living its own life there. But of course, approach us directly, me, Mikko, Andrew, whoever. Last year, when I was here, there was a debate, and I think it was Chuck from Aruba who said, you guys, you do this location stuff, but this site survey business is just a sidetrack, and you guys don't really push it and stuff like that. So this, and actually this is our current website, but this is what it's going to look like roughly in a month or so. So the company will be divided into 2 business units more clearly, and the site survey planning equation plays equally important role in the, for example, on the front page of the company. So it's not just a sidetrack anymore. It's much more than that. That's how it looks on mobile. I'm really happy to have Keith as our trainer. So how many trainings next year? 18? So you're a pretty busy guy, huh? So Keith is doing the 3-day trainings. If you haven't certified, how many Ekahau certified in this room? Just a few. So next year, well, first of all, well done, guys. Hats off. I'm not. I haven't gone to Keith's course, but next year let's try to double that number if it's okay. It's a really good course, and it's not Ekahau training course. It's actually Wi-Fi design deployment using our stuff. So we've had good feedback. That's Keith's calendar for this year. And that's actually available. The calendar is there at ekahau.com/training. And if you haven't been on this site, there's, 20 hours of training material free of charge, no login. Amanda does a pretty good job at explaining the product features, stuff like that. So go there if you already haven't. So now you're saying it's already like 3 p.m. and still no ESS8. So let's get to it. So what is in common with all of these guys? Anyone? Sorry? I'm not going to repeat that. And with these guys. So they all have been doing predictive designs. Did I get that correct, Carl? So predictive design is the headache, or it's really a pain to get that going, and it's the wall drawing, really. That's the problem, right? And then you could say, why don't you just read the walls from the CAD drawing? Because CAD, DWG, DXF files, they already have the walls built in. And I wrote a blog entry on this as well. If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. But the problem is, CAD drawings are pretty complicated. They look like this. So one wall can, consist of 80 different wall segments and layers next to layers next to layers, plus text, plus doors look completely different. And if we modeled all of this as a predictive design, as walls in predictive design, it wouldn't really work that well. So CAD alone is not the answer. We need to somehow take that messy room and convert that into a clean room. So this doesn't really work. But this GT is not here, but he would be amazed by my PowerPoint skills. So this is what we want, right? We don't want this, because it would be, first of all, computationally pretty hard, because you would have like 1 million wall segments and all kinds of garbage, and attenuation values would be all over the place. So ESS 8 will do this. So it will clean up the CAD file for you into simple wall segments that you can then work with that are computationally effective. All right? And that's what we call WOW, or Wall Outlining Wizard. Everybody has these 3-letter acronyms, right? So we had to make one. So let's take a look. And very much a pre-release, so bear with me if it crashes or doesn't work or stuff like that. Just 1 second as I try to open the screen resolution. Duplicates. See anything yet? And now? Perfect. All right. So, how does it work? Let's open. I had something here I was already working with. But this is not what we are interested in. This is just, ignore this survey model. Take out the contours. All right, so bring in a map. How many of you have the possibility to get your hands on CAD drawings when you're doing predictive designs? We didn't make this feature for nothing, because none of you raised hands. It would be a useless feature. So I'm glad you do. So luckily we have some predictive designs or CAD drawings out of the internet. Here's a really simple example, all right? So you bring in the DWG just as you would normally bring in the map, and it gives you the layers on the left and the preview window on the right. So conveniently, this file actually has a layer called walls. So just going to assign those with drywall. How's that? All right. And then there's doors. And doors can be pretty painful because they would look like this. And we don't want them looking like, like as doors are marked on the floor plan. So ESS actually automatically detects doors and closes them for you, because I'm assuming most of you would do predictive designs that way, right? So there's 2 different kinds of layers for doors, more thick and more thin, so you just assign materials for them. And then there would be, usually they have also windows, and exterior walls are different from interior. Usually the layer structure is pretty good. In this file, it just happens to be this way. ESS also automatically detects the scale for you, so you don't need to worry about that either. So there we go. And this is a fairly small model, but even that kind of a model, it's quite a bit of mouse clicking. And then you take that 10-story, 20-story hospital and start bringing that in. And it takes 2 minutes to bring it in instead of drawing those walls for like 10 hours. So it's pretty effective. And right off the bat, so this was, clean model, nothing on it. Now we brought that. Because it has the scale and everything, we can just start placing a piece on it, and it just works. Question?
Can those walls be eliminated and changed out on the fly, or if I delete one wall, are you going to delete all of those?
Yes. The question was, are these walls editable afterwards? Yes, these are absolutely editable, and these are totally normal ESS walls that we actually brought in. So everything you can do previously, you can do with these walls as well, and more. I'll show it to you in a second, but a good example would be, actually these walls would be a brick wall. So just change the wall type, and take brick wall, for example. And there we go. Love you too. All right, so that's, in short, that's what it does. So it's pretty simple to use. Still not finished? Yes. So if the AutoCAD file doesn't have a scale?
It's incorrect.
Yes.
Can you still set your own scale?
Perfect question. Yep. So what we found is 95% or 98% of AutoCAD files do luckily have the scale, but if it's incorrect or if it's not there, very, very valid question. I'm going to select another file. I'm going to take KP because I like Kenny Powers. So the scale is actually here. That is detected automatically, and you can edit that afterwards. And we will have a small scale indicator here that says this distance is 10 feet, so that you can manually adjust that. And it needs to be pretty precise, because the way ESS detects the walls that are next to one another and the doors, whether they are closed or open, and is elevator shaft next to the walls, and how should we treat that? It's pretty important to have it right. So. Good question. It's possible.
It's just that, you're European.
Yeah.
The old buildings from a North American city where there's a lot of old buildings. And
yeah.
Sometimes they did this rendition, AutoCAD, but it's not always that precise.
Exactly. And I feel your pain. We have I've personally gone through a couple of hundred files, DWG files, half of which have been North American, and yeah, I'm telling you, there's problems in all of those. So luckily, it's pretty error tolerant, and whenever you run into a problem, this is kind of like what we do with antennas. Like if you have an antenna that's not in ESS, let us do the work for you, and we'll figure out how to put that into ESS Planner. Same thing with walls. If you run into a problematic CAD file, send it to us, and we'll take a look is it a problem in ESS or is it a problem with the file, and let's see how we can fix it. By the way, there's a good tool called Draft Site. DRAFTSIGHT that reads 30 days free, reads CAD files really, really nicely. So if you need a baseline reader, that's a good choice. Sean Hoxton. No. Question was, does it do multi-floor and align them automatically? Currently, no. But all the CAD files that I've seen that we have are one floor, one file. But if you have this kind of Uber 3D model with all the floors in one, it doesn't know how to do that yet. So you would need to go to the building manager and ask, per floor DWGs or DXFs. Yes, sir.
If you didn't have, if you have a JPEG of floor plan, will your wall wizard work on that as well?
Good question. Does the wall wizard work on JPEGs? Not yet. So this is DXF, DWG only. Next will be SVG, and then after that, we'll look at the bitmap stuff. But that's a much, much harder computer problem. All right. Any other questions regarding the CAD stuff?
Can you customize the values?
The wall values?
Yes.
I'll get to that. Good question. Let me come back to that in 5 minutes. Can you re-export the file to a CAD? Currently, no. It only takes in the CAD and, violently puts it into ESS format. There's no going back right now. One more, Chris.
Related to that, are you able to click on specific wall areas and select what type of materials they are in the CAD drawing?
Absolutely not in the CAD drawing, but in ESS, yes. So
the reason I ask that is that we found some CAD drawings, they have like outside wall areas that are classified in the list as being internal wall areas, and you've got to change it to make it what material actually is, even though it's linked to the rest of the indoor area.
Yeah. So you just highlight the area you want to change and say change wall type, and that changes it. All right. Then, this is the bonus. So previously when you brought in CAD files, they were, there could be so much stuff on the CAD file that it kind of gets pretty heavy for ESS to handle. So you have all those walls and everything, and it has to draw those every time you pan the map or zoom the map. Now, you can also, even if you bring in the DWGs just for survey work, you can take off some of the layers from that so that the map is easier or more manageable for the computer to handle. For example, you can take off the extra grids, grid stuff and logos and texts and everything you don't need for surveys, you can remove from the background image itself. So it's just faster to handle, less messy. Makes sense? And speaking of walls, now to answer your questions, what's your name?
Adam.
Adam's question. So, in all honesty, editing the Berlin Wall was easier than editing walls in ESS previously, right? And that's what you were coming to, right? I mean, it was so hard that Primas, and this guy is pretty hardcore, he wrote a blog entry about changing the wall segments in his blog. And he has packet analyzer stuff and everything, like really hardcore stuff there. And then there was how to change walls in Ekahau, and it was going to a configurations file and editing that with Notepad and stuff like that. So not good. So we brought in a wall editor because it kind of goes hand in hand with the CAD stuff. So if you couldn't afterwards edit the wall materials after bringing them in, the CAD import would be of limited value. So all we added is a few buttons. So we tried to, and we really struggled making this as easy to use and as transparent to the user as possible. So we came up with this. So there's just plus and minus buttons, and then a wheel that allows you to edit the attenuation factor. So this is the attenuation of the wall that you probably measured in dB, and this is the width of the wall. And of course, it automatically calculates then the dB per meter. So all you need to do is, this is what's significant, the attenuation of the wall. That you need to have accurately. But even the width of the wall, it can be off a bit, and that doesn't really matter. And then, of course, like before, there's the height of the wall, and then the height of the wall from the ceiling. For example, if you have columns, what would these be called? But if you have stuff like this, that was already possible to model in ESS 7.5, maybe even 7.0. So you can do all kinds of stuff. Or you can do AC ducts by using both of these, the height and the height from ceiling. You can do, for example, AC ducts that go like this in the ceiling, stuff like that, stuff that's hanging from the ceiling. All right? Makes sense. Questions about the wall editor? yeah, add, remove, edit, pretty basic stuff. That was that. And now this. So previously, we had two ways to measure during site surveys. So going to on-site measurement. During site surveys, you could do passive scanning, and then you could do active, which was for us, it was ping. So round trip time, packet loss, associated AP, stuff like that. But there was no way to understand the true performance of the network, like throughput, and also no jitter either. So this is probably doesn't come as a surprise, but we just put in throughput measurements into ESS. So we incorporated iPerf, and you may see the already differences in the user interface. So we tried to clean it up a little bit. And here you can see, I don't know if you can see the text, but it says active ping and passive, which frequencies are being scanned. You click ping. There's now also option for measuring throughput and configurations for that. And it's iPerf 2 and 3, TCP, UDP. The basic settings are here. And we tried to make this like pretty simple to set up. And all the bells and whistles of iPerf are not configurable yet, but this is the first version, and we would very much welcome your feedback on how does this work, what is missing, how do you do throughput survey, stuff like that. We got some feedback from, like, we just shouted out on Twitter, how should we do this and stuff, and many responded. So this is made based on those, but for what I understand is this feature is used very, very differently with different users. So if there's something missing or it doesn't work perfectly, let us know. Okay, I would test it, but demo effect didn't get the server component to communicate with this. But basically it's real time, so just like ping gives you, feedback here, so will the throughput tester. So it's kind of like you would run iPerf on command line. That's what it looks like here. And then during site surveys, it will, of course, save the throughput data on your survey route, and then you can display it as heat maps. So throughput, jitter, packet loss, right? And then I also wanted to have that command line type of a feeling on the map as well. So we brought in something like this. So it shows the settings that were used. And in this particular, if you can see, I've highlighted a small section, or I move the mouse over the route, and it highlights that section on which this particular throughput measurement was made. And it shows you the settings and the test results and everything. And this all will be reportable using the standard reporting and the template-based reporting. So heat maps and the tables, any combination thereof. And my claim is only 20% of the users use throughput for site survey measurements. How many of you? So 10% maybe 20? And Chuck, we talked about this. You very extensively used this. A year ago we talked about this, right? So for those 10%, this will be valuable. For the rest, forget about it. But it's still there. It's pretty easy to set up. You just go here again, and select throughput, configure it. But it's not in your way. So if you're not using this, you can use ESS as you always have. It doesn't make anything any more complicated. It's out of your way, but it's still there if you need it. Questions about throughput? No? Pretty simple stuff. So iPerf 2 and 3. Some of you guys, Aruba has this integrated in the APs. You have Aruba has a throughput server, right? Or iPerf server. Or do you? Yes. Yes, very good. And Ruckus, AirHive, Cisco, I believe, does probably not, but most have it. So there's no reason why you couldn't do AP on a stick throughput survey by just connecting to the single AP. But what is that information worth? Then not sure. All right, then there's the basic stuff. So throughput and walls, and especially the wall detection was like what we scratched most of where we spent most of our time lately. There's also the new antennas. So in the last 18 months, like 400 new APs antennas for ESS 8. There's more than 50 new antennas from Cisco, Aruba, all the major players. And if you need any of the APs added that are not there, just contact Mikko and he will put those in. So there will not be an antenna editor for ESS. And AxleTech antennas, they are probably already in there, or they will be there in ESS 8, right? Yeah, that's right. We agreed that. So the whole portfolio of AxleTech antennas will be there in Site Survey 8 as well. So for that, yes, question.
You may not want to answer this question, but what if you get into a fight with Mikko again and he's not available? Can I still try to go under the hood of Ekahau and try to create my own antenna?
Yes, the question.
Like way back then?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. So the question was, if Mikko doesn't get back, can you go and create your own antennas into ESS? Absolutely. So ESS has a conf folder, CONF, where you just everything is there. So everything is configurable, including you can make your own antennas. It's a simple dBi versus degree type of a thing. So if you just have the antenna specs, there you go. And if Mikko doesn't respond before making it yourself, you can try Andrew and me, and then we'll go to Mikko's room and Absolutely.
Maybe that would give kind of power or something.
Maybe. Perhaps. All right. Then there's or was there a question? Somebody? No. There's a new licensing system in ESS 8. So this is why we need to be pretty careful how we roll out. So some of you will receive ESS 8 earlier than others, just because it has a new license management system, and you shouldn't care. But for Ekahau, it's a bit of a risk to implement that, and it has all the copy protection and license management and support maintenance management, all that. So it will be a phased rollout during end of March, April. If you don't get your license, and Blake and Sam already have, it's because we have a phased rollout. But then that will result in you guys getting faster support. You will be better notified when your support and maintenance is running out, so you don't risk like using an older version unless you really wanted not to pay for maintenance and support, which is also fine. So it will be just slightly better user experience. Yeah, sorry, no dramatic ending. So now would be the time for questions. Carl Schmidt.
I have a question about the license.
Yes.
I do my predictive design on my desktop at home with a couple of great big monitors. I've got lots of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Move around. But when I go do a survey, I take this.
Yeah.
How can I have Ekahau on both with one license?
Question was, how can you have Ekahau on 2 machines even if you just have one license and you don't use them simultaneously at the same time? That would be breaking the licensing policy. Anybody want to answer that? Sean Hoxton. Yes. So did everybody hear that? Who did not? Okay. There was another question somewhere?
Sure.
Yep.
There's been issues within my company with using Ekahau on a Mac with Fusion.
Yeah.
And using the internal wireless card from within
Yeah.
the Mac for the active survey portion.
Yes.
Were we just doing it wrong, or is that a known feature?
Question. All right. So, question was Fusion, Mac, active survey doesn't work, feature or bug, or are we doing something wrong? Absolutely not doing anything wrong, except the supported way for Mac is Boot Camp. So Fusion is just a bit more limited in terms of compatibility. So the way to go would be to Boot Camp the Macs to work optimally with ESS. Some may or may not have gotten Fusion to work. You will hear on Twitter that some have gotten it to work perfectly, but Boot Camp is the only way we can make sure it works and support it fully. Good question. Or you can just get a better hub like Who2.
Jussi, you want to repeat the question for the recording because it's not getting on without the mic.
Yeah, sorry. So the question was, well, we were talking about the Fusion stuff and all that, so that works okay, but what was the later, was there a question or just more of an answer? So for Fusion use, you can plug in one more external NIC that's not an Ekahau NIC, but let's say some random Netgear 802.11 AC NIC and use that for active survey. So Fusion will then probably work with that better than your integrated NIC. Is that? Yeah. Mr. Lukaszewski.
Yeah, so you see something we found surveying with another product. So we're not designing really for laptops anymore. We're making these things.
Yep.
And they have fewer antenna chains and no MRC and so on. Surveying with another product, I've seen a minimum of 10 dB lower SNR on these as compared with using the Proxim 8494 card that a lot of people carry around.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've got a mobile product. Have you guys done much characterization of smart devices as opposed to the other types of survey utilities, and what guidance are you giving to surveyors about how to either derate what they get with the built-in card, or what you think the model is going forward with these types of things?
Good question. Chuck from Aruba asked about mobile, measuring with mobile devices. How does it work? Because we recommend, just to be standardized, we recommend the Ekahau USB adapter, but mobile devices get 10 dB less reception than these guys. So how does that work? So, and as Chuck mentioned, we do have a mobile survey tool for Android, which is a lightweight tool for surveying with that, and there's a version 3 coming really soon. Ask me for beta. But how does it work? How does it play out going forward? So my answer is, we already are actually testing a way to have a mobile device on your belt. And this is John, FYI, you might want to consider this as well. So you have a mobile device on your belt or on your pocket, and it sends RSSI measurements and then other additional like active survey measurements to ESS. So you would just click on the map in one place and get 2 different streams of data. This is already possible using voice over Wi-Fi phones like Spectralinks and stuff. You can actually connect them to ESS. We don't really advertise that, but you can. So you can take a Spectralink or Vocera, at least Spectralink phone or Avaya phone, whatever, and hook that to ESS and read simultaneously from these cards and from a VoIP phone. Precisely, and we already have an Android reader, so if you want, anybody who wants, we can send a beta, and it actually already works. It sends RSI measurements to ESS at the same time. So I had 2 slides about it, but I decided not to publicize it yet because it's not shipping yet. Yes, there's a question behind Chuck.
Yeah, just a quick question about the Surface Pro 3.
Yeah?
I've got a problem with that. I've heard mention that the USB with a hub is a problem. Do you have any updates on Microsoft fixing that, or has this always going to be a problem?
Good question, and I feel your pain, and I take this personally. Surface Pro 3 and the USB port, and when using hubs with that, it sucks. On many machines, it just keeps disconnecting and reconnecting the adapters. Surface Pro 3 from Microsoft, and I have reported this to Microsoft. Many others have too. I don't think they're ever going to fix it, to be honest. It's a marginal problem for those guys. There's debates going on in the Microsoft forum every now and then, but Microsoft hasn't really commented, so I can't recommend, unfortunately, fully the Surface Pro 3. I have one. Many of you do. Blake has one. You've gotten it to work pretty well, right?
Yeah, it comes down to the power. You're pulling more than one USB port. Technically, should have it too if you have 3 8194s operators. So it's not something that is going to be fixed. It's something that we need to come up with a workaround. We've gotten lucky with doing 6300 and the 8494 year processing. So that's why the combo works, but there's some things that can be slightly tricked to make it work, but it's not something that is probably going to be fixed because it is 500 milliwatts is what the USB port is supposed to do. You're pulling roughly like 830 to put 3 adapters in, so this is kind of sketchy. Now, do you have an i5 or i7? i5. Because there are no issues with i5, and you can get lucky to take it to the store and swap for another one that may not have a problem.
Okay.
Yes, that works just fine if you buy that guy's crazy adapter that's $400 and you battery pack is the quality service and you splice off the one. But there are solutions, but
Yeah. And there are, and I agree and disagree with Blake that yeah, it's drawing a lot of power, but actually, if we measured it with a voltmeter, or a power meter, and it's not that much that these guys actually pull. It's very little because they're just probing and receiving. So the problem, according to our testing, is actually more on the physical connection. So it works okay with my laptop unless I even a little bit touch the connector, the USB connector that leads to the hub. Even touching the wire slightly disconnects and reconnects. So at least on my machine, it's actually a physical connection issue. But could be, multitude of different problems as well. Yes, question there.
Comment. For me, I just got a different USB hub. It worked a lot better than the one that came with Ekahau.
Yeah, and Who2, I tried, many of you have recommended Who2 in my machine. It works slightly better, but still keeps reconnecting, disconnecting. So there may or may not be difference with the hubs. I'm glad, if that works, then it might work for others too. Yes, sir.
I haven't worked a lot with Ekahau, but I was wondering, is there a way to calibrate the adapters in Ekahau like there is in Air Magnet?
So is there a way to calibrate the adapters in Ekahau like in Air Magnet? Yes, there is, and it's a configuration file there as well. So, and we used to do that a lot. We measured all the adapters in our offices and ran around like crazy and had all these attenuation chambers and stuff, and then ended up hitting our head on the wall. Because all the devices seem to be so different in different environments even, and there seem to be more than just the RSSI variable, and then there's the whole orientation issue. How do you encounter that? So the conclusion was one standardized adapter that you build your baseline upon seemed to be better than just trying to convert them. The conversion, we did it for 5 years, several guys. never got it to work. So it's either Chuck's method, which was measuring with several devices simultaneously, or then just one standardized adapter that we found the best. Calibration could work for some, but at least for us, it never met our standards of quality. So you can still use the conversion functionalities inside ESS as well. Knock yourselves out, but I don't recommend using those. Anything else? Anybody? Or let's go have a cup of coffee. Any feature requests you have, anything like that, let's talk. Any feedback? Highly encouraged. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your time.